magazine and a skewer, and I work at an angle. So you want to line up your skewer at an angle, fold it over, and then start to roll. Now the one thing you want to watch out for is that you don't lose your skewer inside the roll of paper, because if you do, it's almost impossible to get it out once you've glued it. So I'm going to roll this up, and then you want just a dot of white glue to hold it in place, like so. And then you take your skewer out of the paper. Now once that's done and you have a bunch of them done, you're going to want to make them flat. Okay? And the best way I have found to make them flat is with using a rolling pin. So you just roll the papers like so to make them flat. Now the other thing you'll notice is that one end is a little bit smaller than the other end, and you want that. When you have a bunch of them made, like so, then you can start coiling them together. Now, here's an example of a bowl already starting to coil. And for this project, you want to use a glue that's a quick dry type of glue. I like this Scotch brand. It seems to work well. And what I do when I go to coil around is I'm going to put the glue right, because I'm building up this way, I'm going to put the glue right on the edge of the paper here and wrap this piece around. So to begin, I just run a small bead, and like, you don't need a lot of glue. But I'm going to put a small bead here, and you'll see that I'm working the glue longer than my piece of paper is. And the reason for that is that I'm going to take one of these that I've made. Let me find one that's a little bit flatter. Okay, and like I said, one end is big, one end is small, and they fit inside each other, like so. And then I can start coiling around, and I'm moving the paper with one hand and holding with the other, and I find this works really well. And it's a slow process, so you kind of have to pause every once in a while to get it to tack, and that's why you want a glue that dries quickly, so that you're not having to hold this piece here for a long time. So where this becomes most important is at this juncture where you put the two together. That seems to be the point where they spring apart the most. So if you can hold that for a few seconds, and you can go back and shape the pieces as you're waiting. It's almost like making a clay bowl, but in a very slow manner. So I'm putting on more glue, and then I'm going to wrap around further. Now the pieces that I made for this were a whole page of a catalog, and you can see here that it starts to get thicker in a certain spot. And so what I might do in the future is cut that page right down the center to make it less bulky. But since I started this project with them being that way, I'm going to continue on. When I get to the size that I like, then I will paint the inside and the outside with a sealer. My choice would be Mod Podge, but you could use any other kind of sealing. Alright, so this one isn't tucking in very well, so it's going to take me a little bit longer to secure that spot where they join together. So I'm going to have to hold this spot here a little bit longer just to make sure that it doesn't spring back open. And it has a tendency to do that from time to time. So I'm going to keep working on this just a little bit higher, and then I'm going to seal it shut. And like I said, I was going to use Mod Podge for the inside and the outside, and it becomes a pretty sturdy piece, if you can hear. When I started coiling the center, I did not put as much glue on it, and so that part is movable right now, but once I put the Mod Podge on, it will seal it shut.